Hi there, everybody, and welcome to this evening's episode of the Salamander Coast, at least half episode. So, welcome to Roll with Advantage. My name is Joe, and I will be your dungeon master this evening. It's great to have everybody here and to welcome two new players to the Salamander Coast campaign. I mean, kind of. You do have to make it through the session, and then you'll be permitted access. But if you don't make it through the session, well,
I mean, I didn't make it through my 0.5, and I got to be in a Pharaoh.
yeah. So our two players joining us are Gemma, who plays in the Isles of Ivarian campaign as Twig, and Ryan, who plays as Varnast Halmaru in the Explorers of Afera campaign.
Hell yeah.
So, yeah, Ryan, you're very used to joining a campaign late, which is awesome. So, you're Gemma, if you ever have any questions, direct them towards Ryan.
I mean, I've started 2 campaigns late now, so.
Okay. So yeah, nobody's a novice here. That's good. Okay.
We got this.
Yeah. All right. Sick nasty. So let's go ahead and I suppose then we'll roll the intro, even though you two aren't in the intro, and then we'll get started.
In the spirit of things.
Woo! All right.
Away from shit.
Hi there, everybody. Whoa, what's going on with my camera right here? Look at that. Oh, that's really funny. Let's shrink that up a little bit. There we go. Sorry, we got a bit of a new setup, so we're still ironing out the fine details there. Okay.
Oh, look at this screen. This is nice.
Oh yeah. It's like
I love the smoke.
We're putting in the full effort here. So yeah, this is one of 2 new screens for the Salamander Coast and for all the campaigns, in all honesty. So let's go ahead and dive in. So let's get some music going here.
Ooh.
There we go. Yeah, that's the one. Alrighty. Throughout the ages of the history of Illica, there are a few defining moments. Moments that changed and shaped not just the nations that live within the material plane, but the shape and form of the material plane itself. Starting from the age of creation, when the material plane was formed, not just the material plane, but when all of the planes were given their energy, primordial, arcane, gifted these things by these massively powerful entities. They were given freedom. They were given choice. Humans, elves, halflings, dwarves, Genasi, Aasimar, tieflings, all of them created, given a choice. What do you do? What path do you take? What road do you travel? Important questions that even from the dawn of existence, from the dawn of everything, that question still remains. Who are you? What do you do? What do you fight for? What do you stand for? What path do you take? Some people in their lives, they have all the choice in the world. They can go anywhere. They can do anything. whether it be because they have some greater destined path that the weave moves around to set them on their path and allows them to do whatever they want, but still guides them to where they need to be. Or there are those who their paths are a little more set in stone. Some people have one defining moment that changes their lives in its entirety. There are two people in the material plane who, whether they know it or not, their path, their destiny, their journey in life is about to take a dramatic turn. And it all boiled down to one choice, at least one illusion of choice that they had. We see two individuals on a boat with white sails. A boat full of soldiers, men and women riding off to the western Salamander, headed for the region of the world known as Delner's Pass, a narrow strip of land home to many fables and many fears for those that live there. Two individuals, kindled of the children of the flame, captains. These two individuals, through show of their own skill, their own prowess in battle, their ability to command troops, and to fight for what's important, to fight for the light, fight against the Dark One in this ever-coming and never-ending battle, to be a paragon of light, to be the flame in the darkness. At least that is what the oaths you swore said. If you truly feel that way, well, that's your own decision. You can feel the wind buffeting the sails, hitting your cheeks, the water splashing against the hull of the ship. You know where you were meant to dock. There's a narrow strip of land lined up in the seas of the Salamanders where you can dock and climb a narrow mountain pass to arrive at the Children of the Flames war camp outside of Delner's Pass. So, as the two of you ride upon your ship, your soldiers with you, the camera pans down from the sweeping ocean, the massive view of the ship you ride on, white sails emblazoned with a sun engulfed in fire. And we see two individuals that stand out above the rest. While the others wear cloaks of white with that crest of the Children of the Flame emblazoned on their chest, there are two who wear a similar white cloak, but it has streaks of embers on it, as if it were once a light with flame, but now has just slowed down to a crackling ember, still white in its base, but with these small veins, almost like looking at a mine, gems embedded in rock, glowing embers. So, as we see these two individuals, I would like Carasilla and Morrowind to describe your characters. Carasilla, you can go ahead and go first.
Okay, I'll go first. She's probably just sat down somewhere in a relaxed kind of posture, just with this, with a hurdy-gurdy in hand. It's got a more rectangular body to it, with little painted trims around the outside of it that resemble almost like a lace stitch of some sort. And then at the top of it, at the head where the little tuning pegs are, there's a little shape kind of protruding out of it that, upon closer look, is a carving of a woman's face. Carasilla herself, she's got auburn hair that's kind of cut into a shoulder-length bulb with little curtain bangs. And she's just sitting there very relaxed, just hearing and listening and really tuning into the drone strings of her little hurdy-gurdy.
Okay. Very cool. Morwen.
Morwen's not too far away from where her sister, Carasilla, sits. She's probably just leaning against the side of the boat, kind of looking out towards the water and looking forward at the same time. Her hair is cut much shorter, kind of more of a pixie style kind of haircut. Probably the most immediate thing that's noticeable about her is her very strange choice of weaponry. She has two patas, I believe is how you pronounce it, but they're basically, in simpler terms, known as gauntlet swords that she basically holds onto, and the sword blade comes out of the gauntlet, and she has one basically attached to each hip. She's currently not wielding them or having them on right now. She'll quickly glance over to see Carasilla on her instrument. You feeling all right about this?
I mean, as alright as this current moment can be. I mean, hopefully it's just nothing.
Well, we've gotten out of bad situations before. We're going to have more backup on this than we've ever had before. So, you and me standing side by side, we'll be fine.
As always.
So as the two of you are sort of chit-chatting to each other, you can see a soldier approach you. Woman in her middle years, maybe 40, 45 years old. Short cropped hair, very similar to you, Morwen. Small, pointed ears, half-elven descent. A more pale yellow complexion, wearing the armor and cloak, the Children of the Flame. Like I said, that emblem of fire etched in gold, embedded into her breastplate. She approaches the two of you, places her fist to her heart, over the sigil, and bows her head and says, "Kindled Carasilla, kindled Morwen, I wanted to give you word that we should be arriving within the hour to the coast and then in turn to Delner's Pass." And you can see there's this small bit of hesitation, this want to ask something but not to step out of line. You all know your soldiers well enough, but you can see that she's not going to say it unless one of the two of you asks. So she just kind of opens her mouth and then closes it and then goes to nod and leave.
What's her what was her name? I'm sorry.
Oh, Yara.
Yara, if something is on your mind, I'd rather you speak it.
And go ahead and make a persuasion check with advantage.
Ooh, not my specialty. Should have been
That's
the
also
other
has to be
one.
Hey, that's okay. It's not a high DC, but
Okay, that was just a well, that was just one. Okay.
all right. That is
Hopefully 11's not a high DC.
DC was 10. All right.
Yeah, nailed it.
Not even just nailed it. You exceeded expectations there. Good job.
Boom. Always that extra 10%. That's why I'm the oldest.
She sighs, and you can see her shoulders deflate a little bit. You all know that, the two of you know that we all trust you. Crew, soldiers, all of us do. We joined the Children of the Flame because most of us wanted to accomplish something greater. We wanted to fight a good fight and make a difference. Some of us are worried that, well, if this truly is what some have said it is, if there are going to be gates opening heralding the return of the servants of... And you can see the words kind of get stuck in her throat. Him, is it truly wise to march in all form and factor with pulling all of the stops? I just am not just me, but many of us are worried. Very worried.
Morwen will glance over to Carasilla to see if she wants to say anything on that.
And she will. Well, I mean, you've got faith in each other, right? Gotten each other through us. Just wink back to Morwen. So, I think as long as we're staying together, we'll be fine, right? You're not gonna lose faith in us now?
Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
That's where I realized I should have had my character sheet on.
Amateur. Absolute amateur.
New character, who dis?
Oh, god damn. Okay. I see you. All right. As you sort of give her that reassuring grin, you can see a little bit of confidence build back up. The shoulders pull back a little bit more. The spine straightens. She exhales and says, "You're right. None of us have lost faith in you. What you've done for us and what you've shown us you're capable of, and the leadership that you continue to give. You're right. Provided we all stick through this," you can see her smile, "we'll all make it through this. Thank you, Kindle."
You know, that's more the spirit. You just need to have my back and I'll have yours.
Very well. In the battle to come, I will have your backs. As always.
And as long as you both stay behind me, I'll take care of anything that gets in the way.
Good. And you can see this sort of confidence and rejuvenation to Yaren. And she then, hand to heart over the symbol, the Children of the Flame, bows her head, and then makes her way back to the rest of the soldiers. You can see her head below deck, as there are a few chitterings and conversations that you can hear from below deck. And it seems as though her returning after a few minutes pass, there is a little bit of rejuvenation that returns to the crew. It seems as though your words have helped, and it is spreading throughout the your soldiers.
Well done as always, sister.
I mean, can't have them think that we're going here to die.
Absolutely not.
Just in a bit of a hushed voice, just to make sure that it's just between the two of them. So if we're feeling this is going to be an absolute shit show, I think they might be right is their only problem. I don't think this is a smart move at all, but, well, we're here.
I believe that this is the best plan that they were able to come up with, and us standing as united front. I believe in what we're here to do. We will see it through as we always do.
I mean, us, sure, but the others?
Sometimes all you can do is your best.
Well,
Okay.
if we're an hour away, we should probably prepare ourselves.
Indeed.
Alrighty. So the two of you begin to head down amongst the crew and your soldiers, spread word of your imminent arrival. You can see all of them begin to gather their things. All of you begin to gather your things. And you can see eventually the rocky range that is the fractured peninsula begin to approach. So, pull everybody here. As you are making your way towards the northern half of the region of land known as Jormungandry, the fractured peninsula is divided up into three separate quadrants. The first one is almost entirely covered in ice and snow, especially this time of year. The second quadrant, which is where you are heading, Delnir's Pass leads to the second quadrant. That one is almost entirely all year round in this perpetual state of spring, due to the natural shifting steam vents and gases built up underneath this sort of central island, central part of the peninsula. And you can see the fog and steam, thick and dense, beginning to roll down across the rocky, sharp cliffside. You also see that you would also know that the third and uppermost part of the peninsula is known as Tyr's Temple, as the overseer of the city of Fjardeleth is a peacekeeper. The city of Fjardeleth is one of no war, no fighting, no weapons at all. To brandish or bear weapons in the city of Fjardeleth, well, it is death, as you will be immediately pursued. But luckily, that is not where all of you are heading. The two of you are headed to Delnir's Pass, a prophecy that had been handed down from Lightbearer to Lightbearer. The leader of the Children of the Flame spoke of Delnir's Pass. Delnir's Pass being the location of the dawning of a new age. One day, one fateful night in the history of the world, the gates of the Dark One would open in Delnir's Pass, and the first fight to determine the history and to determine the fate of not just the Western Salamander, not just the Salamander Coast, Aridane, or the Material Plane, to determine the fate of everything would be fought here. Now, sadly, as you're approaching, you are all reminded of just what most people think of this prophecy, what most people think of this idea. You remember your times in Brahmsgrave and Belliclara, trying to fight this good fight against the Dark One, against the agents of the Dark, the Shadow Spawn, and the Dark Friends, but it just seems as though no matter how hard you tried to get people to believe, most people didn't seem to care. They were more concerned about stuffing their pockets with gold or finding their next meal, to worry about the impending doom that may or may not be coming. All of you arrive in the dock. You can feel the ship lurch as the ropes are tied and you're pulled in. All of your soldiers exit the ship, following your lead. And there you can see, after getting off the dock, seeing maybe 40, 50 other ships all docked up in this area. It is cramped and cluttered. You begin to make your way up a very narrow goat's path, up this rocky ledge, and then eventually cresting over the top. Looking down, you can see the Children of the Flames war camp. So, let me go ahead and go here. Bada bing, bada boom. Ho, ho, ho. So,
Ooh.
you can see the Children of the Flames war camp. Now, I will say that keep in the background is not there.
Tense.
Yes, this area is very rocky, very coarse, but you can see pristine white tents, along with banners of gold and white, soldiers marching from position to position, seemingly on some type of patrol, some armored and training, others resting, their armor removed from them. As you make your way through the war camp, you know which section of land has been given to your soldiers, and you knew that when you arrived, that you had a meeting with an individual that you had, well, that you had never met before. But this would be your first time. And needless to say, you were a little nervous. So, your soldiers, you send them off to set up your camp, or would you like to go with them before you head to your meeting with the light bearer?
Well, I feel like if the meeting's obviously important, probably like follow them like half the way, just so like we're not just abandoning them straight off the ship.
Mm-hmm.
But want to get to that meeting, I guess, promptly.
I think
Okay.
we'd also designate like 2 or 3 people, like, okay, you 3 make sure this gets done while we're gone, just so there's like some form of leadership while we're away.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, otherwise I think it's straight to the meeting. Best not to keep them waiting.
All right. Sounds good to me. So, all of you, the 2 of you sort of separate from your soldiers. You inform them as to what they should be doing and definitely what they, where they should go, all of that. Just so that way there are no mistakes or any confusion about what they need to do and where they need to go. So, you make your way through and you navigate your way through this war camp. Now, you can see that all of these places, all of the people here, there is a tense energy, to say the least. Many people here who are scared and nervous, who, just like the soldiers that came to you, the soldier that came to you, there are people who seemingly are having the same apprehension, the same fear course through them. Some seem more confident, overly so almost, but for the most part, that tenseness pervades the entire camp. So, you all, and the 2 of you, begin to make your way towards that camp. So, upon arrival, you know exactly where his camp would be. It was told very specifically to you. As you enter, there are several people inside the tent who you recognize. Other kindled or senior kindled, maybe even, and there are even several individuals that you know of that are embered. Those select few who work hand in hand with the light bearer in an effort to communicate and create a much more lasting connection between all of the different parties involved. So, as all of you enter, you can see that you're sort of entering in mid-conversation. As you can see several different other individuals, they're kind of bickering back and forth about what's best to do, where to place troops. And you can see bearer Dorian Almer just sitting and listening, not saying anything in this current moment, but just listening as they yell back and forth. He just listens. And you can see him in this white and gold enameled plate armor, sword, his own sword sort of sitting on top of his table, unsheathed. A thick white mane of hair that drapes down to about his shoulders, and a finely trimmed white beard. An old, wrinkled face, his eyes squinting at the kindled, the senior kindled, and the embered, all in the room with you. This is Veradorian Almer. You see him studying, and he just looks around the room and he raises his hand, and the talking ceases. I have had enough of the bickering. There is no need to go back and forth, and we're best to move 10 troops. You all would like to sit in here and twiddle your thumbs, hoping to avoid what awaits you later. I recommend all of you take this time, go to your soldiers, bolster their confidence, do what you can to make sure in the coming battle they know that we fight what's right. We fight to protect those who cannot protect themselves. After you do this, come back this evening. Tell your troops that the rations for tomorrow will be doubled. Give them something to look forward to. Can't hardly go into the heat of battle on an empty stomach. I would like all of the new arrivals to stay in here for just a moment. Kindled, senior kindled, and yes, you as well. Stay. See him talking to one of the embered. The rest of you, you are dismissed. May the light guide you. You can see him place a fist on his chest, nod his head, and dismiss the rest of them. You can see left remaining in this tent, inside the light bearer's tent, you can see that maybe there's 8 other people aside from you. One wearing a very similar plate armor to the light bearer, Dorian, but younger in years. A Earth Genasi man who has this sort of cracked, deep, muddy brown skin and this sort of mustache that just kind of falls down in this grassy heap to his chin. As he just stands there, and you can see that there are other kindled here. Most you don't know, if any. The one person that you know that you haven't seen yet is Draven Hunt, an individual who has caused much pain and much anguish for you and your soldiers. But, luckily, or unluckily, you do not see him here, and you haven't seen him yet. As all of you stand there, Veradorian, he stands. And for a man who carries so much weight, his presence in a room, very commanding. He doesn't stand taller than 5'9", 5'10". He fills out his armor, but you can tell that he is very much so in his senior years. You know that he's been Lightbearer for the past 40. But in terms of how old he truly is, you would probably guess anywhere between 75, 80 years old. He walks with confidence. He doesn't trip or stumble, but he takes his time. Each step is calculated and well thought out. And he looks towards the 10 of you, 8 others, and the 2 of you who are in the room. Looks you up and down. I'm going to be very honest with all of you, as I have been with all other kindled, and all others who fight for the light. Our numbers are small. If this battle truly is to be as harrowing as prophecy foretells, this is not a winnable fight. There are 1,000 children of the flame who've come so far. Given the ships that just arrived today, I would venture to say maybe 100, 200 more. On a normal circumstance in a normal war, 500 soldiers could hold this pass for a year. Its position is wonderful tactically, but if this is to be what I believe it to be, our chances to beat the dark back and the realm from which it came slim to narrow. I don't tell you this to spark fear or to cause you to worry. I tell you this because when you swore your oaths, many, many years ago for some of you, you knew there might have been a chance that you would give your life in the name of the light. It may not be this day, but that day is surely coming. You will go to your men, same as those who were in here before you. You will speak with them. You will bolster their confidence. Rally them to fight. So when Heartsbane, when the father of lies comes to take back what he claims to be his, he will have to fight tooth and nail to take it from us. Is that clear? You can see all of the others. They all nod their head, fist to their heart. Yes, Bear Almer, of course. Yes, sir, yes. Just sort of nodding and agreeing. Are you two following suit, or?
Corwin does.
Mm-hmm. What about Caracilla?
Yeah, Caracilla will just give a strong nod.
Okay. Good. You are dismissed. With that, the others leave around you, and you can see the one embered, the Earth Genasi man with the grassy mustache. You can see him approach Baradorian, and Baradorian raises up his hand and says, "No. Address your soldiers, and then you can come back and tell me whatever it is you wish to tell me. Go!" He just sort of barks out that command. You can see the Ember nods his head as if he's some sheepish boy who was just yelled at by his mother. Nods his head. Even a man of his station, having such profound respect for this individual, nods his head and exits out of the tent very speedily. So that the two of you then head back out into the war camp, and you make your way to your soldiers. You can hear on your journey a collection of other kindled, senior kindled, embered, talking to their soldiers. You can hear the same phrases repeated over and over again. The light will never bow. The flame of the first light will guide us to victory. Nabir, Tarman. All of these words that even when you all were just initiates, words that would ring through the training halls. This call to righteousness. A call that most children of the flame feel one way or another about. They are either passionate for it. They truly believe that they're doing good. And then there are the others who, well, they just hope to get their next meal and to hope that that dark day doesn't ever come. For all of you, I guess we shall see. So with that, the two of you eventually arrive back at your camp. You can see your soldiers have set up their tents. They set up your tents. Your belongings are all there. And you can see all of your soldiers just sort of beginning some rudimentary training, maybe unpacking some of their things, beginning to eat a little bit after a long journey on the sea. But for the most part, every once in a while, there are sort of like glances that shoot towards you, looking over towards where you are, and then kind of go back to what they're doing as they wait on your command for what they should be doing.
I imagine we're probably like closer over to like our tents. We probably have just like a tiny bit of privacy.
Yeah, there's nothing too private. I mean, the light bearer's tent is really the only one that has any type of distance from any of the camps. But yeah, you have a little bit.
What do we say?
I mean, anything we can really say. We're gonna be here whether we like it or not. It can either be, well, full of anxiety or ready to face whatever's coming.
Stay close to me when the fighting starts.
Well, I mean, maybe not too close. You get into the thick of it after all.
This is true.
But, you know, I'll always be with you.
Should we talk to them now or wait till later?
I feel like it's a good idea to at least let them settle in first.
Good thinking. That's why you're the elder sister. And she just kind of gives you a smirk.
But I mean, if our tents have already been set up, I imagine all we are to do is go back to our troops, then there's not much else for us to do until we, I guess, are ready to address. So, once again, Carousel will just sit just on the floor, kind of outside the tent, and just crank up a hurdy-gurdy. Just something a bit more, joyful. Something light in the mood.
Yeah. Go ahead and make a performance check for me. Nice. Okay. So
I
yeah,
love bards.
yeah, your music definitely it carries through the area, and as you're just beginning to crank the hurdy-gurdy and that tinny but still very light and fun music begins to crank away on it. Some of the soldiers of your own, they sort of look over and smile, and you can see this just sort of light airiness overtake some of them. As especially with your regiment, your collection of soldiers, they take a great amount of joy in the music that you play, Carasilla. The music that you play outside of battle and inside of the fighting. It helps to bolster their confidence and keep them going. And that effect is not lost on some of the other children, as they sort of sit sharpening their blades, eating whatever food might be available, sparring, practicing, training, making sure their armor is clean and polished, making sure their cloak is clean and free of stains. They all sort of just look over, and there's a small smile that finds its way to most soldiers' faces. They continue on, but in a place that is so used to the only music being that of the beating of hammers on steel, the sound of steel clashing on steel. This is a welcome. It's very welcome. So, cranking away and then eventually finishing your hymns. I'd probably say that upon arrival and settling in, it's about noon, 1 o'clock. And Bearer Dorian Elmer, he did make a comment about how you all were to return in the evening, maybe around 7, 8 o'clock. So you have a few hours in the camp if you'd like to do anything specifically. But other than that, you are free to head to his tent when the time comes. So, you guys doing anything in the meantime, or?
I think Morwen would kind of go back to what she's good at, which is just kind of making sure that they're doing their rounds, making sure that their training's on form, probably sparring with some of them, just trying to get a little bit of fire going in their bellies, before the heat of battle's upon them.
Okay. Yeah. Go ahead and make an athletics check for me.
All right. It's a 10, though.
Yeah. Hey, a 10 is better than a natural 1. So,
this is true.
True. Alrighty. So then, as you are beginning to work around with your different soldiers, doing what you do best, as opposed to what Carasil does best, the training. You can feel that your head isn't exactly in the game either. There is just this small sort of nagging feeling at like the base of your neck, right at your brainstem, where you just something doesn't feel right. Mm-hmm. And it's in one of those moments where, as you're sort of wielding the patas, as you sort of bring them up to block in a diagonal cross overhead, one of the blunted blades ends up smacking you right in the side. As you can see, one of your soldiers, Dunrick, actually, he kind of, after he hits you, he goes, "Oh, Kindled Morwen, I'm very sorry." And you can see the halfling armored fighter. He just sort of sheathes his the blunted long sword, and he goes, "I didn't mean. I just saw the opening and I took it. I many apologies. I'm very sorry."
Morwen will turn to him, and after a moment, smile. "Never apologize for a good hit. You've gotten much better since I first saw you fight."
Thank you, Kindled. Thank you. That means a lot. You can see the scruffy sort of auburn hair that he's kind of like pulled back into a small bun at the back of his head. Some of the strands of hair, the curly locks have kind of fallen down to frame out the side of his face. Thank you. Shall we run the drills again, or?
Yes, we should.
All right. And this time, as the two of you sort of go back into it, this time he doesn't get off any easy hits. Your head's back in the game, you're focusing, and this time he's not able to get a hit in. You can see that he's a little sad about it once you finish, but he's doing the best he can. And for what it's worth, you are right. Dunrick has improved quite a bit. So, with that, a few more hours pass. Carasilla, as you continue to play your hurdy-gurdy, and Morrowind, you continue to go with training through different soldiers. The group of the two of you have a regiment of about 25. So you're a very, very close-knit group. Most of the time, they feel all right saying what they feel, but there's also a fair bit of respect that they have, where none of your troops especially, and really none of the other any of the other initiates or accepted, all of them treat you with respect. You have a respected position, you have authority, and that authority is recognized. So while your soldiers do have that shared bond with you, they definitely do try to make sure that they're not towing a line, that they're safely on the other side. Never close to getting to the line where they could offend. So you can see that as you continue to train, you continue to play music. While they seem more comfortable and they seem all right, there is that tension that you dispelled a little bit on the ship, but now being here, being on the edge of whatever battle is to come in the coming days or weeks, you can tell that they're nervous. They trust you. They know that you'll do everything you can to get them out of this and to fight for what's right, but they are very nervous. So, what's next?
I mean, a little bit before they have to head out to have their meeting, imagine they both just rally their troops together again just for a little talk, just to,
okay,
I guess, make sure everyone knows what they're doing and to help lighten spirits.
Okay.
And just, since, like, Carousel would be aware of that kind of tension, just as she's doing it, she will activate her shift wave, and just for that moment, just change her usual Children of the Flame get up to being her regular clothes, which is much more, much more scruffy, kind of little bits of frayed edges. Some bits would have just been patched up, just like a simple jacket with like a faded kind of wine color to it. So very plain, and just hoping to get rid of that edge of this is someone that I'm meant to be respecting, and just come to all of them as a friend.
Okay, yeah, and you can see that it does actually help quite a bit as they all look to you, and as you're just kind of going around talking to them, not giving some big impassioned speech, just talking to them as another person, at least with your soldiers, that's almost better than that speech. Going to all of them, whether it be soldiers like Yara or Dunrick, no matter who it is, going to them, talking to them, and reminding them that you are in this together. And no matter what your cloak says about your position, about your rank, that you do care about them. And as the two of you prepare to head to the Lightbearers camp, you can see that they're just taking that time to talk to them. No check necessary. It does a number. It really helps. So, anything else before you guys head to the Lightbearers tent?
We'll just switch back to normal Children's playing gear before going in front of the light bearer. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Don't want to get in trouble. All right. I respect that.
I think
'Kay.
Morwen would just kind of be looking out at the troops before looking back to Carasilla. Well done as always.
Well, someone needs to make them smile.
Well, that has certainly been your gift for as long as I can remember.
Well, perhaps we should be heading on.
Yes, let us be going.
Okay. Alrighty. So with that, you begin to make your way back through the camp and back in the light bearer's tent. So, in the light bearer's tent now, you both can see that you are one of about 30. Or the two of you are about, you're two of 30. Whew, man. You're two of 30 in here. Cluttered and cramped, standing shoulder to shoulder. As Bearer Dorian Almir stands looking at a map of the area. This middle gate is different. As you all know from your studies of the area before arriving, and as Dorian Almir explains when speaking to the group as a whole. He says, "Now, we here serve at a difficult impasse. Delner's Pass is twofold. It is the only of the narrow bridges in the fractured peninsula that has two gatehouses. One we currently sit on the opposite end of, and the other leads into the second region of the fractured peninsula. Our forces lie here," as he says, behind the second gate. "And we hope that the gates will open on the bridge, not behind the gate of the second. We have scouts posted on each gatehouse, keeping their best eye out for anything that may come. This battle will be difficult. Whatever may come, whatever may happen, know that all of you are making a difference. Not just here, but the lives that you've changed, the lives you've saved, the time you've given the people, given all people, through your actions and deeds throughout, not just this place, but throughout the entirety of the world. The things you've done have made a difference. Should you die here, fighting, know that it wasn't a life thrown away. It was a life that made a difference. Do I make myself clear?" You can see that there is no worded response. All of them just nod. A very solemn nod. Good. So then, what will happen is we'll have, and he goes in to start to explain the tactics, where troops are going to be placed, what maneuvers, what attacks are going to happen whenever this fight comes. And right as he's beginning to explain, there is what you can tell is an accepted, just a soldier, someone who has taken the vow, who's gained their white cloak, and they are one of you. Bursts in. You can see that they are a half-orc man, early years, maybe 20, 25 years old, short cropped black hair, two small tusks protruding out of his lower jaw. And you can see that he bursts in out of breath. There's a, there's a, there's a messenger at the gate. He's riding on a horse. He's just one at the gate. He's a dark friend. He wanted to speak with the light bearer. He wouldn't leave. We threatened to shoot, and we did. The arrows didn't do anything to him. They hit him, but he didn't react. He didn't do anything. He just took them. He just pulled them out and threw them on the ground and said he wanted to speak. The one of the descendant of Almer. And you can see senior kindled, cindered, and the light bearer himself nod. And light bearer Almer, you can see us grab his sword off the table, sheath it, grab his helmet, and set it on top of his head. Looks out to all of you. Embered. All of the Embered will come with me. And he looks out to the rest of the group. And he points to 6 different random kindled and senior kindled. You, and you two. You're coming as well. Last 2 being you two. 2 kindled, 4 senior kindled, and all 8 of the embered, or all 8 of the cindered. Sorry. Want to ride out with bearer Dorian Almer. Come with me. You can see him step, each footfall heavy. Anxious for what may come. Horses are brought to you. You mount up, and you ride out. You head from his tent, riding throughout the rocky region of Dalnir's Pass until eventually, after about 15 minutes of riding, you arrive at the gate of Dalnir's Pass. You can see the tall stone gatehouse, carved and etched in different old runic language. The commoners that you know from these areas said that the runes on Dalnir's Pass were to dissuade evil, to keep it away, warding marks. But as the gate in front of you opens for you to look out on the bridge, you can see that it has not done that. Evil stands in front of you. You see what the 2 of you would recognize almost to be some type of merfolk, a triton, or a sea elf. And you recognize it by the shape of the ear, these almost thin, ear shape. These sharp, serrated, almost shark teeth. Gills on the neck. A cloak of a deep, deep, deep ebony black, furling down past his shoulders. You see a long glaive sticking out from the back of it. What bothers you most is that merfolk, sea elf, triton, they typically have skin of greens or purples or blues. Cool colors. This individual has skin of blackened ash. The skin looks like cracked rock. Each one of those cracks peer deep into what look to be bouts of flame, as if it is a stone man, and trapped inside is a deep, dark, furious fire. Light nowhere near him. All those bouts of flame crackling off of his arms, his chest, scars on his neck. The bouts of flame where his eyes should be, they give off no light. If anything, they consume it. Sitting upon his horse, he looks towards the group of you in a chevron formation, the light bearer at the tip. You can see this creature, this entity of darkness, begin to speak. His voice crackling and rumbling throughout the area.
So, this is what is left of the title of Alm.
And you can see that sharky, toothy maw rock open and then shut.
I can tell you recognize me. It's been a long time since the blood of an Almer has graced my blades. But I'm excited to douse them once again.
And all you can see is the tension that exists on the back of the light bearer. The way that his body slowly, slightly moves with each word spoken.
I do recognize you. Dark friend. Shadow Spawn. One of the 13. Naku Ray. Right. Traitor of your people and the Gemstone Archipelago. So then the seals are beginning to break. Are they not? So, you are not as dense as you seem. They do break, piece by piece. Soon 13 shackles will be broken. 13 lords of the land return to herald a king, an emperor, the rightful heir to creation. I come as a courtesy to my king, to my father. He is not all malice and fury. There is love in his heart for those who are loyal. He is allowing me to give you a choice. A single choice. The gates to his realm will open within the fortnight. Soon, the gates to oblivion will crack the sky. His children will descend upon this land and douse it in fire, darkness, and blood. Should you stay, you will die. Each and every one of you. Your body and soul will be used in the furnace to fuel his empire. And you will feel nothing but pain. Or you can leave. You can go to your families, your loved ones, your children, your parents. You can spend several years with them. Pretend you're happy. Forget of the coming darkness. And then, when he does consume all, you would at least held your loved ones one last time before your unfortunate demise. This is your choice. Choose wisely.
You can see him smile. And you can see Baradorian Almer throw up his hand for all of you to stay, but then slowly begin to ride forward. Until he's not more than 5 feet away from the Snaku Ray.
Your offer. Why? The game the Father of Lies plays. What are you getting at?
You can see Nakure kind of slowly move his head to make eye contact.
I play no games. I am only a messenger. In fact, I will not even draw my weapon. I am here to parley, to give an offer and leave. And that is it. You tell your master, the one who chained you to this fate. Tell him we will take no part in any foul deals he has to offer. We serve the light. We will fight for it till our dying breath. By the blood of Almer, the title bestowed to you. What honor does this position have anymore? Light bearer Almer. My companions and I, we killed an Almer. Many, many, many years ago. And that was when the blood of the angels were the light bearers. Not some old, sad human man in his final years. It just proves my point even more. You will not win. Tell me, my master, He fights with me. Ritan, the one of dark beginnings, his true name, Drahasiel.
You can see as he speaks, the bridge just shakes, as if there was a small tremor, just at the speaking of the true name of the Dark One. The torches that burn behind you slowly begin to diminish.
He is always with me, always watching, always fighting. Where is your light one? Oh, that's right. A flame hidden in a mountain is all you have. Your power derived from something that could be extinguished with a bucket of water. Just like you. The light is weak. Light can't burn forever. Darkness will always be there. You have your choice. Stay and die, or leave and live. For a time at least.
You can see that cracky laugh fill the air as the light slowly begin to return to the torches. Fair Dorian Almer just stares at him, begins to turn his horse back towards all of you, and then looks back towards Nakure.
Tell me one thing. Before you go. When you were slain all those years ago and locked away in that prison, who was it who dealt the final blow? If history serves correctly, it was a weak human of the blood of Almer. Remember that when you and your dark friends in Shadowspawn charge. I will be waiting. And history tends to repeat itself.
You can see him yank the reins of his horse and turn and begin to ride back towards the gate. Nakure just sits there, blinks, and you can see as he reaches back behind his back, you assume that he's reaching for a weapon, but he just grabs part of his cloak and flings it forward, and you can see in this writhing mass of darkness, he just disappears, swallowed by something, and then gone. As all of you begin to ride back, you pass through the gate, you return to the camp. And then, eventually, back to his tent. As you return to the tent, you dismount, and he removes his helmet, holding it in between his arm. And as all of you re-enter the tent, he says,
You will tell no one of this deal. You will tell no one who the messenger was. You will say no word of the seals being broken. Do I make myself clear?
all of them just sort of all of the others in the room nod. You can see all of them just petrified isn't the right word, but they're right on the verge, where they're just kind of muscle memory, assuming the positions, bowing their heads, fist to their chest.
You are dismissed.
And he looks towards the group.
You two, stay for a moment.
Targeted at both of you, Carasilla and Morwen.
Stay for a moment.
See him take off his sword belt, set it on the table, walks back further into the tent. All of the other senior kindled, and the Imbird, they all kind of look to you and exit the tent as they were told. As the two of you have the opportunity to sit now. After all that.
Morwen's just kind of throwing a look at Carasilla's and like, do you have any idea why we're here? Because I don't know why we're here. I like not saying it though.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
Carasella's gonna just message Morwen just so the Lightbearer doesn't hear. Just a little, aren't we special?
Kind of gives a smile and like a thumbs up from under the table.
See, after a few moments, the light bearer returns. He sits down at the table across from you, and you can see that he has 3 brass cups and a very simple brass pitcher. And you can see he pours wine into the 3 cups, sets the pitcher down, and then sets a cup in front of each one of you. And then slowly begins to sip on his.
So,
See him kind of blink, just trying to forget that happened, really.
I like to meet with the kindled, senior kindled, any of them. Any children I can. I like to get to know them a little. So, if I remember correctly, you two are the Dulski twins, correct?
Indeed, we are.
Yes, sir.
I thought so. You know, it's interesting. Your group is one of the only ones where 2 kindled have been in charge of the same regiment. When your papers came to my desk of the oath you had taken and the station you'd been granted, I thought it'd be cruel to separate you. So, allowed for special permission, the 2 of you to stay together. And, well, from what I've read, what I've heard, that was the correct decision. You 2 seem to work well together.
Been together since we were little. It's hard to imagine working with anyone else.
Yes. They say that the bonds you make in the military, fighting alongside someone, or even stronger than that you form with family. I can only imagine how that bond is strengthened, not just by family, but by twins nonetheless.
You can see him kind of stroke his beard. So, as I understand it, the two of you enlisted. Is that correct?
Yes. A few years ago.
What was it, 4 years?
3, if I recall correctly.
3. Well, you've risen to your position rather quickly, then. Most kindled and senior kindled, it takes upwards of 5-6 years to achieve those positions.
I mean, each of us is only really needing to do half the work, right?
I suppose that's true. I guess what I wouldn't give to have someone fighting alongside me all of the time. So, you don't mind me asking, why did you enlist?
Well, I suppose the reason, at least I hope most people are here. This is the place to do good, is it not?
Suppose you're right. Most people, I'm not so sure about. Some just want a free meal. Weapons and armor to protect themselves to escape a life of poverty. Some are criminals. They escape their prison sentences by joining. Murderers, thieves. Many come to the Children of the Flame hoping to avoid these issues.
I mean, I don't think it's fair to discredit them wholly. Each giving their own unique skill set, I'm sure.
Exactly. You are exactly correct. I always try to see the silver lining in anything that comes across my desk. For example, though, there was one individual, the Butcher of Bellicl. A man, Druin Lethra. The Red Skinner, they called him. He would murder his victims, typically none older than 14, 15 years old. Children, really. He'd skin them, keep them in the back of his cart. Till he was caught one day outside of Summer's Rest. He escaped prison somehow, found his way to Bromsgrove and enlisted. And it wasn't until after he took his oaths that we discovered his true nature. However, those oaths are binding. Older than me. This armor, this sword. Damn near older than the title itself. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that he's a very talented weapons specialist. A calculated killer. But some days I wish that I could give him what he deserves. But
And you can see him just laugh. He takes another sip.
can't. Damn the oaths. It's a numbers game at that point. So, let's see,
And he looks at the two of you, and he points at you, Morwen, and says,
Carasilla, right?
She's Carasilla. I'm Morwin.
Carasilla, more apologies. Do you fall in line with her? You joined hoping to do some good.
Yes, but I would be lying if I said part of it wasn't to make sure she was safe.
That's nice. It's good. It's important, too. All of us should have someone watching our back. So the two of you enlisted, hoping to do good and look out for each other. Do you know I was conscripted?
Really?
I was, yes. Gods, what was it? I'll be 87 in about 3 months. Must have been 75 years ago I was conscripted. Huh. 75 years. 3/4 of a century I've fought for the light. That's not entirely true. Probably closer to half a century. My first 5 years, I was so spiteful. I hated the children of the flame. Conscripted, I was torn away from my family. I was forced to come here. Forced to fight a fight I didn't believe in. But I remember it. My 5th year. Senior kindled. Mathis. Kindled Mathis. He took me out on a voyage. I was part of his battalion. We went to Tarkir. Small city. Rumored to have Dark One activity. No one thought anything of it. They thought that it was just some small village in Tarkir. Why would that matter? Why would that? What purpose would that serve for the great Lord of Lies? I thought the same thing. There's no way that he would care about something so small and insignificant. Have you two heard of the Banshin? Warriors of Shadow. They fight in 2 locations at once, summoning echo. Almost corporeal. You heard of them?
Have we?
It's up to you how much you would have paid attention during your teachings in the more academic areas of the Children of the Flame.
Probably sounds vaguely familiar, but I'm guessing good old Carasilla probably's got that down pat. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, she probably got at least the basics.
Yeah, so you're familiar as he talks about it.
You hear things here and there about them?
I can promise you, no matter what you've heard, a battalion, 2 columns, 50 soldiers each, 100 soldiers. There was maybe 50 in the town. It's hard to tell. Fight in 2 places at once. This small town was a hotbed. Something was important to the father of lies, and he Senior Kendall Mathis died that day. Him and all 100 soldiers. Yet I was spared. One of these Ban Sheen charged at me, hoping to cut me down. Just as his blade was about to carve through my chest, he stopped. He withdrew. For what purpose? For why? After that, I returned to Bromsgrove, the Temple of the Flame. I received the honors for being the only one left alive. They claimed me a master swordsman. I was made kindled that year. Senior kindled 2 years later. Cindered 4 years after that. And then made light bearer shortly after that. The entire time, I've wondered, why me? What was so special about my life? About me that this happened? Some days I wonder. I lay awake at night, thinking, what if my family hadn't gone to Raven Rock that day? We'd stayed at home. Stayed in our village. Where would I be? Would I still be in that farmhouse? Listening to my grandchildren play in the field. A wife who loves me at my side. Would I be a soldier in the army? Pirate on the seas, a mercenary, hoping to just finally die as my sword arm gets weaker. Can't bear to wear my own armor anymore. Who would I be if I wasn't Baradorian Almer of the Children of the Flame, protector of Nabir Taman, bearer of the light, Lord Commander of all the forces, the Children of the Flame? I wonder if I ever had a choice in it all.
I mean, to assume destiny on you, but, I mean, if you're able to get out of well, that situation back there, survive against all odds, then maybe that was some kind of, I guess, some kind of sign for what's to happen now. I mean, surely someone's got to survive, right?
Surely. So you believe in fate, then? Destiny, all of that.
Well, I wouldn't say completely believe. I think each of us are where we need to be.
There is one. The Order of the Hidden Flame. He likes to say the wheel weaves as the weave wills. That there is no predetermined destiny. There's no entity or great being that puts all of the chips in a row, that writes a story, and then all of us are just merely performers saying our lines as scripted. But there are some threads that are more important than others. Threads that create a picture. Threads that must be maintained, or else the full tapestry falls apart. Nothing's predetermined. There are those that the weave is woven around. I myself
mean-
have... Please go ahead.
I think that whoever, well, made up that little metaphor, I guess, doesn't really know how cloth works. No thread is more important than the other, right? Everything can be mended. It's all in the unity that matters, right?
It's true, I suppose. I'm definitely not going to argue with you. I'd like to assume that my life is just as important as the fishermen in Albjord. It's too much pressure to assume that should I die at the wrong moment, something falls apart. If the two of you wouldn't have joined the children of the flame, where do you think you would go? What would you have done?
I just think much of the same, really. Maybe at a different scale. We had our place in Bromsgrove.
Is that the same for you, Morwen?
To an extent. I don't know where I'd be without the Children of the Flame. Before, now I face Servants of the Dark One. I help people, I lift them up, I save, I protect. Back home, I moved crates. I moved barrels. I was told what to do and I listened. I was good at it. But I was happy and I was content, but doing it with you, looking over to Carasilla, hard to imagine anything else now. Don't know where I would be without the Children of the Flame. But despite what's going on, in a way, I'm still happy I'm here.
You can see him thoughtfully kind of ring his finger around the cup and tap it. Well, for what it's worth, I am happy that the two of you are part of the children of the flame. Gives me hope that should I pass on, gives me hope that not all is lost. You can see him just sort of looking very deep in thought. He just looks down at his cup and grabs the pitcher and begins to refill. As he sets the cup back down, there is this sort of shift, this shaking the ground underneath you. See him kind of tense for a moment. Did you feel that?
Yes.
The second one. And you can see him just brows furrowed. This complicated look on his face. Thinking deep in thought, going back and forth on different things. And as soon as he looks up towards the two of you, you hear this monstrous screech that shatters the air, cracking the world around you. You can feel cracks begin to form in the ground, the earth literally shaking and shattering with each screech. You can see him, he blinks and... No. Blood and ashes. And he looks towards the two of you. It has come, then. Gods be damned. Ugh. And he gets up, straps his sword belt back on, and you can see him rush towards one side of the room as the two of you are just sort of beginning to get up, readying to head out. And he says, No, don't leave yet. And you can see him grab two, what look to be bracers off of this sort of bookshelf inside this tent. And he says, come to me. And he meets you sort of halfway near the table, and he straps the gauntlet onto each one of your left arms. On each one of your left arms, strapping this gauntlet made of this sort of white enameled, trimmed with gold, bearing the symbol of the children of the flame. And as he does, he takes out his sword and he says, "Get on one knee. Do it now."
Morwen drops.
Another screech that just tears through, creating more cracks in the ground around you. By all the honors that is bestowed to me as light bearer Almer, the blood of the light, protector and guardian of Nabir Taman, I hereby grant you the rights and honors of that of the senior kindled. And he knights each one of you with the blade, and he sheathes the sword back. Stand now, arise, senior kindled. As the two of you stand, these gauntlets, he points down to your hands, should you ever be trapped in darkness that seems oppressive and unending, all you must do is channel the power that exists within Nabir Taman, and it will protect you. Do you understand me?
Yes.
Understood.
Good. Now, and you can see him thinking more. I know you're not going to want to do this. But as was my duty in that fight all those years ago, I lived.
all of those who fight here tonight, they will die. This isn't a choice, an if. I know it to be true.
Another screech happens. You can see him grab a piece of parchment and furiously begin to write down on it, heating wax in a small container. Another screech, yelling and groans, steel clashing from outside the tent as he writes it, rolls the parchment up, pours the white wax, and presses in his seal, and then hands it to you, Morwen, and sort of clasps it in your hand.
You're going to take this, and you're going to run. You're going to run as far away from here as you can get, and when you find the opportunity, you're going to go to Bromsgrove. You are going to demand to speak with the Hidden Flame, and you are going to give them this letter. Do you understand me?
What
I
about
do.
men?
Do you understand me? Your men,
I do.
your men, they will die, and you will die here with them if you do not go now. You will grab a horse, and you will ride south, and you will keep riding until that horse dies, and then you will keep running until you do. You no longer hear any pain screams, until you hear no more screeching, until the earth beneath your feet stops shaking. Do you understand me? That is an order.
I don't want to break promises lightly, but I understand.
Good.
Now go. And you can see him put on his helmet, draw his sword, and you can see that as he begins to draw it, there is just this divine light that begins to sheen from it. You have to shield your eyes as it just begins to fill the tent, as he just begins to yell, his voice carrying, just shouting out,
Reform the line! Separate! Units! Embered! Kindled! Senior kindled!
"Oh, men, volley!" Just yelling out, using thaumaturgy to empower his voice, shouting into the cacophony of madness. And as the two of you exit, what you see in front of you is nothing short of a nightmare. You see men and women, soldiers, faces that you recognize that are currently being torn apart by these devilish, horrifying creatures. Skins of deep reds and black, but you also see humans and people that you would see from at home at Bromsgrove, just normal people currently jumping on to children of the flame, jamming knives into their neck, tearing and ripping. You can see that there are different mages and sorcerers casting spells into the mist, trying to push back, but all it is chaos. And all it is a massacre in front of you. Just a cacophony of madness and bloodshed. Devilish, demonic creatures, fiendish shadow spawn, unleashed to the full extent of the Dark One's fury. As soon as you exit, you cannot help but feel fear. Your gut wrenching, and all you want to do is drop and give up, but you can't. You have a letter, you have the gauntlets, you are senior kindled, you have to survive, just as he said. So as you are coming out here, you can see that there is a group of horses that are currently whinnying and neighing. They are absolutely freaking out, still tied to the bastions of these posts, just trying to rip and grow free, as currently you are just in the thick of battle right now, as there are just people dropping dead in front of you, these creatures running past you. You two are just heading straight for those horses that are right there, right?
Yeah, Morwen would grab Carasol's hand and just run as fast as she can with her.
Okay.
Yeah, Carousel is a bit more almost being dragged along a little bit, and she's just trying to see if any of their troops are anywhere nearby where she can shoot a message off to them.
Make a perception check for me. Nice, 23. Okay, so you can actually see as you're just beginning to make your way around the horses, you just barely see. Currently, there is this large spider-like creature, these sort of 6 legs sprouting out of a torso with these smaller arms that is currently just tearing into different soldiers. It's sort of flanked by these 2 massive creatures, bulky, maybe standing 10 or 12 feet high, and you can see that there is currently fighting, trying his best, the small halfling sort of backed up into a corner, Dunrick, as he's just sort of blocking with his shield, slashing into these smaller demonic creatures that are just sort of flying towards him. The other soldiers around him you don't recognize, but at least fighting there, you do see Dunrick. What does the message say?
She's just going to say, "You can only be there in spirit, but your song will be sung."
Okay. So you can see in that moment that he blocks, and as this large creature is currently bringing like a great sword down on him, he's blocking with his shield. You can kind of see him get down onto one knee as his block is about to break, but then your words hit him, and he nods, and that gives him enough strength to push back and then thrust the sword up into the throat of that monstrous creature as it just slams the sword up, and the creature falls down dead, as then he sort of retreats to go to different parts of the battlefield as his small halfling form just disappears from the fight. But other than that, as you're running towards the horses, that is really the only person you see. It's so chaotic, and the bloodshed is so prolific that it's just hard to tell. Okay, so you mount the horses?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. All right. Grabbing on to the mounts, you undo them, and at that point there's like several arrows that fly, impaling into several different horses as about 4 or 5 of them drop dead, and there's just one horse alive now. As the 2 of you can easily mount onto the same horse, you cut the reins free, making sure that it has enough freedom of movement, and it just jumps over the fence as you just begin to ride through the battlefield. Now, if you don't do anything, there will be a horrific creature that just jumps up and tries to take down the horse and take you down with it. So what are you 2 doing to ensure that you escape from this situation?
Well, first off, Jebba, are you like steering the horse, or am I?
I mean, I could probably do it. I've got a +3 to animal handling. We're great.
Okay, cool.
I think Kirasilla kind of has to, or else you're gonna have to take one of your gauntlets off.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was gonna say. But yeah, so I'd say, just Morin probably just like has both of her blades out to the side, and I mean just like not like mad spinning them, but I mean she's just kind of like almost like posturing the blades, like trying to like kind of keep people back, because a horse momentum combined with someone holding a sword, that's a lot of damage.
That is, in most cases, that is enough. Okay, for this, go ahead and just make 3 athletics checks for me.
Okay.
Because this isn't just about swinging with force. I mean, you'll hit anything you go to swing at. But
okay, well, one was good, the other was not, and then let's try the last one.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. 2 are pretty good.
Yeah, because really the big part is just kind of trying to maintain your momentum, your energy. That's really the problem here. As you are just sort of wheeling around, slashing and stabbing into all of these different creatures. Some you had read about. You do remember studying about how to fight the different creatures of the Dark One. But in all honesty, some of these you just don't recognize. You do know of the Darlat and the Shadar, the 2 creatures. One that is this sort of like abhorrent devil monster that has these leathery wings, but is sort of dripping with this slimy tentacle-like feelers that is just cutting through. And then the Shadar, which are these undead devils. Thin and malnourished, but they breathe this darkness, just literal darkness out. And as soon as it hits this necrotic fog, any of the children of the flame, their armor just begins to wilt and melt and consume them, until eventually there's nothing left. There's no body that's left. Just 3 or 4 at a time. They're just absorbed. And then you see the Athaza, which are those giant spider aberrations that move around the battlefield with this agility, their legs sharp enough to pierce through a soldier's chest, breaking through the metal or the leather that's meant to protect, just stabbing through, just absolutely destroying any of these soldiers here. So, as you see all of that, you try your best to any creature that approaches to give a forward slash and up and cut down. But the problem is, as you are slashing this first sort of 5 minutes through the battlefield, every once in a while you end up getting stopped as there's something that moves in front of you, and those flying creatures, towards the second roll, as you're getting into the second 5 minutes of escaping the battlefield, there are those giant flying devil creatures. They end up coming down and scraping past you and trying to like lacerate into your neck and face and forehead. And with that natural one, they are going to do quite a bit of damage to you. Okay.
Can I just say,
yeah.
I know I'm controlling the reins and all that, so it's probably not going to be as effective, but with one of my spells, it's only requiring visual, so if anything's coming towards, Carousel would definitely try and just get off a distant whispers at them, because it's not only damage, but if they fail a saving throw, then they have to move away from her.
Okay, so there's a group of them, so what I'll do is I'll reduce the damage by a d12.
Okay.
So there's currently this group that's approaching of about 4 that are beginning to swoop down towards Morwen at the back of the horse, just slashing as she's too focused on the ground, not looking up. You are able to catch it though, Carasilla, and you throw out those words, the dissonant whispers, and you can see one of those abhorrent devil creatures. They just begin to look around, sort of scratching at their own face, causing it to bleed. But the other 3 are able to make contact from that natural one. So that's going to be 3d12 damage. That's a 1. 12, 13, 9. So that's going to be 22 points of damage. As they just begin to cut and slash down, cutting into you, ripping into you, you can feel the cuts and scrapes and bruises begin to come across your face and on your shoulders, slashing through the chainmail underneath the armor that you wear. But eventually they do fly up and away, and you see them come around for a second attack, but this time you raise up the blades and you lash off several of the wings of these creatures. They're unable to make those cuts and scrapes anymore, and they end up flying away to find easier prey. Okay. And then the third one, once again, you are able to create enough distance between you and the horse, and you and Carasilla and the horse, to make Carasilla's job easier in steering. So then, Carasilla, I want you to make 3 animal handling checks with advantage. Well, 2 with advantage, 1 with disadvantage. Or, not disadvantage, but just a regular roll. Ooh.
That's great. Oh, God.
Uh-oh.
Okay, but that's one of the ones that has an advantage.
That was the advantage
first
one.
2. Okay. That's not terrible.
Okay, all right. So we have an 8, a 17, and an 18. Alrighty. Let's see, the first one that Morwen did was a 25. Okay, luckily, you and Morwen end up balancing each other out in that first one. She's able to create enough distance between, or is it 24? She's able to create enough distance between the horse that as you're just sort of getting started, the screams of the soldiers around you and the absolutely brutal, disgusting ways that they're being torn to shreds and eviscerated is enough for you to shudder at the thought. And you just begin to ride. And that first one is a little slow. It takes a little bit longer. But eventually you do make your way out. And with the 17 and the 18, you focus. You just get this tunnel vision. You look in front of you. You don't look behind, to the sides, above you. You just go. Every once in a while, sort of flicking out a spell, Dissonant Whispers, just to keep enemies away from you. So I'll say, as the two of you are just sort of riding and trying to get to the end of this camp, making your way south, away from this area, I would like, what you can begin to see is that large creature that that was making those noise, that was beginning to shatter and tear the ground, you can see that it's this leathery winged, four-legged creature, this dragon, is just swooping around in the air. Deep black scales that almost begins to like a dark cloud form in with the shadow, the night sky, which also, just looking up at the dragon and looking around above you, there's no moon, there's no light at all this evening. It is just darkness, no stars, no nothing. Just pitch black. The only illumination given is the spells exploding around you, the fires burning in the camp. Even your natural dark vision that both of you have is reduced. I mean, to where normally it's about 60 feet, you really only have 30 feet of vision, and even that's a little blurry, as there is some type of magical darkness permeating the area. Not so oppressive, preventing you from leaving, but it just makes it difficult to traverse. So as you're moving, you can see that getting towards the edge of the camp, there seems to be somewhat of a blockade almost that's beginning to form. These smaller human creatures, like I said, probably people that could have been your neighbor back in Brahmsgrove, sort of taking these wooden barricades that were meant to keep enemies out and sort of repositioning them to point them towards the camp, so that way people can't get in, or people can't get out. So as you see that those barricades are beginning to form, you've made your way to the edge of the camp, but there's still one more barricade that is in your way. How are the two of you getting past it?
Excellent question.
Excellent question indeed.
Gotta get past it somehow.
I mean, how thick of, like, I guess, people is this barricade?
Not super thick with people. I mean, every 10 feet, there's maybe 3 or 4 people, because they have to pick up these large wooden barricades, and sort of wooden spikes in the ground, and they kind of have to pick them up and move them around to face towards the skin, or to face towards the people on the inside.
How tall are the barricades roughly?
Maybe no taller than 2 or 3 feet, you know, and that's at their highest point.
Would we have enough experience to know how to attack these things to dismantle them, or is that not really an option here?
I mean, really, because of the type of wood they're made from, fire would be the best option. Either that or 3 or 4 people with axes. I mean, they're meant to be pretty hardy.
Yeah.
Wait, if they're 2 or 3 feet, then I don't know. Can horses jump that high? How high is 2 or 3 feet? I don't know. It's like half a person, right?
It'd probably risk getting the horse's like legs impaled.
Yep. I mean, you can try. You can certainly try. I mean, that's an option.
I mean, okay.
I mean, there are a few smaller. There are a few smaller openings where there are currently more people. So if you could either try and jump over the barricade, or you could try and move through the people. I mean, that's really your call. They haven't completely entrapped the war camp.
Because obviously it's mainly to keep like a big group in rather than like 2 people on a horse.
Exactly. Yeah.
I say probably go for the lower barricades, right?
Or through, I mean, we either risk the jump.
Because my thinking as well, just so like we're making a decision, like as we're approaching, I want to find like the fucking strongest looking person there and just cast suggestion on them to, I guess, get us through.
All right, Morwen's got your back. Whatever you do, she's following. Ride or die.
Hell yeah, because we're literally riding.
Yeah, I guess like in this case, literally, yeah. You're the moment you stop riding in this area, you're definitely dying.
All right, That said, just because things might get hairy very quickly, Morwen's going to second wind herself in case we get into some conflict here.
Okay. Alrighty. So
Cute
then,
little face.
Just gonna do that
so then-
real
I
quick.
will also say, because I can also unsettling words, which is essentially negative bardic inspiration. So then should hopefully fail its save against suggestion.
All right. Okay.
Okay,
I'm looking a
very
lot
cool.
better.
yeah. Alrighty. So then that's good. That's good. All right. So as you're sort of you're going towards one of the gaps, right, and hoping to tell one of the people to move one of the barricades out of the way in order to get through, or were you hoping to move towards the barricade, find somebody there, and then do that to them?
How are you feeling, Ryan?
Oh no, I'm kind of in a we just kind of blow past them kind of thing. So I'm kind of thinking we go for the gap. But like I said, whatever you're feeling, I got your back.
Okay, we're going for the gap.
You're steering the horse, so
Yeah, and so like I said, like Carasil's gonna like try and eye up like whoever seems to be like the strongest kind of person, like who would be able to deal with like the others, I guess, trying to prevent them from helping the pair.
Okay.
And just as she gets to them, just like she's gonna give them that like negative bardic and then try cast suggestion on them. Just with, I guess, the command of get us through.
Okay. So yeah, as you're sort of riding on your horse, you can see closer to the barricade there is this large, burly elven woman who currently has like the top half of her face painted in this deep, like ebony black, like charcoaled. Currently streaked across her face, the top half of her forehead and around her eyes. Long black hair, and just like wielding these two like war hammers, just cracking in to children of the flame that are currently trying to escape. And so as she's doing that, just slamming in, cracking people, grabbing onto necks, breaking necks, lifting people up, throwing them down, the two of you begin to ride towards that, and you compel her to, how do you phrase it?
Get us through.
Get us through. Okay. All right. So that's a, wisdom saving throw, right?
Yeah, wisdom saving against a... what's my save? I cannot see where it is. 14.
14? Okay. So that would be a 14, but then using the negative bardic
so
inspiration?
Yeah, so essentially, like, take away a d8 from that.
Okay, go ahead and roll a d8. Well, I guess it doesn't matter because it's a 14 regardless. But let's see how low it is.
It's a 1.
Yeah. You've never rolled a 0 on a d8 before?
I haven't.
Not yet.
All right. All right.
True.
So with a 3, that brings it down to 11. So you can see there's this sort of twinge as she like looks up towards you, ready to strike down this like warhammer on the head of your horse. But then you can see she stops mid-swing, and she sort of, as you commanded, and begins to run in front of your horse, these huge, massive leaps, and just begins to run towards these dark friends, these humans who are just kind of trying to push together the barricades, jumps into the group of them, and just crack, the same thing that she was doing to the children of the flame, and now treating them, running past, cracking into them. You can see there's one, Morwen, that runs at you with a short sword, but just as it's running, no check necessary. You just bring the blade down and just lop off the head in just one fell swoop. As with that, the two of you jump over the groups of people that are there, landing, and you are now beginning to make your way away from the bloodshed and massacre of what's currently happening around you. Now, what you do see as you're leaving, and you can hear it, you can hear Lightbearer Dorian Zalmair's voice still, and you can still hear him shouting out commands, and you hear him give 2 final commands as you're just beginning to crest up this hill, and just for a moment, you just both sort of look back, and you can see the entirety of the battlefield almost from your elevated position, and you can see, you can hear him yell, "Push them back!" And you can see this large line of soldiers beginning to, with these huge tower shields, just pushing into these monstrosities, pushing them back, and then right behind them, sort of encompassed in a circle, you can see that any horses that they can get, they've been gathering, and there are now like men and women currently mounted on horses. They have these huge like spiked metal lances that they're all currently being pushed over, and then as soon as they're pushed back far enough, the soldiers begin to move out of the way, and you can hear Baradori and Almer just yell, "Charge!" as this column of maybe 100 children of the flame begin to charge. And as they begin to charge, as this sort of like bloodshed has been happening, you can just maybe see at the very, very crest of the evening, there's just maybe a little bit of light that is beginning to peer out of the horizon, but it's just too far away, and the scene is too distracting in front of you. But like I said, you can see them charging forward, trying to give one last hurrah to really, really, really deal a number to these individuals, to these dark friends, the Shadow Spawn. But with that, the two of you begin to ride, and you ride hard and you ride fast, just hoping and praying that you'll be pushed somewhere where you'll find an ally, or at least no dark friends. So as you're riding away, you can now begin to see as the sounds of conflict and bloodshed fade behind you. You can see the fractured peninsula in front of you, those almost like a giant's stony fingers reaching out of the dirt, wrapping around, almost choking the land. You begin to ride and ride as fast as you can, riding this horse as hard as you can, hoping that you'll find something. And I would probably say that you push this horse riding as fast as you can, going as far as you can, ignoring anything that you may see for about maybe 12 hours, 18 hours, where you are just pushing this horse as hard as it can until eventually you just hear it sort of whinny and just give out as it just sort of falls clattering on to the ground. As you are just breathing, the two of you sort of help each other up, and you just continue to move, continue to run, hoping to find something, to move away from something. You go and you push yourselves and you push yourselves, and you can feel some sort of energy fueling you, whether it be the gauntlets that are now on your hands or the words of Dorian. You know that you need to move south. You need to go as far as you can, because at the end of the day, you can still hear that screeching. You can still hear it. It is an echo. You don't know if you're just remembering it or if it's really there, but you can still hear something. So you just keep running. You don't tire. You don't exhaust. You just keep going and going and going and going until eventually you have to give pause. In front of you, you see a form standing there. You see this individual, deep, burnt, blackened armor, black cloak. This maggot-colored skin. A mouth that almost goes from ear to ear, and where there should be eyes, skin. You can see behind him there is another, maybe cliffside below him, maybe 20, 30 feet down, 40 feet away. Just waiting, pacing. And you can see the one standing in front of you smiles, this toothy grin. As Hello?
Oh, I couldn't hear you.
Hello?
for
Okay,
like a
sorry.
second.
Yeah, my the mic the mic cut out for a hot second. Oh, that was awkward. Okay.
I was like, as what, Joe? As what?
Yeah, I thought my internet was just cutting out because it did before earlier as well.
yeah. No, so he looks to you and he smiles and he says,
Jah is my master. For Saul to run away. Would converge with 4 others. It makes no difference. You will serve him in the end. You too, and the others. You cannot stop him. The dark is inevitable.
and with that, as the two of you just sort of stand there, you can finally now feel that exhaustion and out of breathness catch up in this moment as that light is sapped out of you. And this chill begins to form. This cool breeze rolls in as you can feel just icy moisture begin to collect on your forehead. The beads of sweat freezing to chunks of ice. The evening comes, the sun falls, and you can see 4 others move out into the area, facing that other creature. You can't hear what he says. It's threatening. And you can see him pull out his sword and point it to one individual. What looks to be some type of dragonborn. Pointing the sword towards him, and you can see in that moment, his form begins to shiver and shake and separates. Till there are 2 of the same individual standing, and the one in front of you, his form does the same as he draws his blade, shimmering and shaking, and separates until there are 2 of him standing in front of you. Morwen, you ready your weapons. Kirasilla, you ready yourself. You don't know who those 4 down there are, but you at least know that you have the same enemy. And with that, that is where we're going to end the session point 5.
Jesus.
Fucking yo.
My God.
Oh, yeah. Big oof.
We
Big
just
oof.
got rocked.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that was intense. Oh,
Love it
boy.
how we're also running away so now we can join the
Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta have,
Also, I love.
gotta have themes, you know?
True.
Uh,
True.
Oh, man.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome to the Runaways. This way they don't have to change the group name. Now, one thing I'm very excited to see is they're going north because they have to get to that Temple of Time to go back in time to prevent the heist at Bromsgrove. But you see, the awkward thing is you guys just came from the north and everything that happened there.
Yeah,
So
you don't want to go north.
I'm excited.
Go there.
I'm excited to see what you're gonna do. I will also say that I know you guys wouldn't have, but I'm glad that you didn't try and seek out Nakure, because I don't know if anybody remembers. I know Mark and Felicity do, but that was in that evil one shot that I did where they were like thralls of the Dark One.
Yeah.
Nakure was one of the 13, and there was Mark's character. Oh. But yeah.
That was never going to be good news anyway, so avoid that.
Yeah. See, now what I have to do is I have to do an evil one shot with the other 2 groups, so that way I can get all of the all of the 13 are just all of their creations. Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for you guys to join. And I hope that yeah. I hope they accept you.
What a time.
Yeah.
What a time.
I think after you guys fight these Banshin together, hopefully hopefully that'll be a bonding experience for everybody.
How cool would it be, Gemma, if the 2 of us took down ours before the 4 of them took down theirs?
Oh, fuck yeah, come on, it's a race now.
Let's go!
This is one of the most meta races I've ever heard of, but it needs to happen. Like, it's
Hell
gotta.
yeah.
Yeah.
Woo.
Oh man. Alrighty. Well,
Love
thank you so
it,
much
love
for
it,
watching,
love it.
everybody. I
I
hope you
found one of
enjoyed.
my spells were good.
Can we please play now? I wish, Felicity. I wish.
Right?
Well, actually, tune in next Tuesday for the Adventures of the Salamander Coast to continue for the joining of Carasilla and Morwyn to Cecily, Desmond, Bianca, and Ashima, and see how they handle these Banshin, these Echo warriors, these warriors of shadow. Felicity says you're on. All right,
Bring it!
it's happening.
Fucking let's go.
Happening. So with that, that's where we're gonna go ahead and end tonight. Now, sadly, and Afera is very contentious tomorrow. It relies on Kayla and I still having power in our apartment. We're moving from our apartment to we bought a house. So our electric is being shut off in the apartment on Friday tomorrow. So we might not have Afera tomorrow, and we definitely won't have Isles on Saturday, sadly, because that's the day we're moving. But Tuesday we'll be back with Salamander Coast, and then next Friday and Saturday we'll be back for Afera and Isles. So tune in then, follow, and thank you so much for watching. Farewell.
Till next time.